Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving into a stack of sources that really challenge a fundamental assumption about leadership:
A really core belief.
empathy. For decades, it's been held up as the key trait. Simon Sinek summarized it perfectly.
Right. The first criterion of leadership is empathy.
The ability to understand and share the feelings of another.
And look, Sinek is absolutely right about the goal. But what's so fascinating here is that our sources, they don't really dispute that,
No, they don't.
but they reveal this profound paradox. You cannot genuinely understand someone else's reality, their feelings, until you've done the really rigorous, honest work of understanding yourself.
So the conventional wisdom says, learn these external techniques to show empathy.
Right. Deploy it.
But this deep dive suggests that's completely backwards. It's not about performance at all.
It's about getting to a place of internal integrity so that authentic connection just becomes automatic, effortless.
Because if your leadership is built on perception, on how you want to be seen,
It's built on sand. The first storm, the first bit of real pressure, and it all just crumbles.
so today we're going to strip away those superficial techniques. We're going to show you that building self-mastery, building character, that's not a soft skill.
It's the only reliable path,
Yeah.
the only one. The journey to reaching outward has to begin by looking inward.
Let's start with that inward focus then, that genuine self-confrontation.
The hard part.
It is. Our sources use this really powerful image from the Bible. It describes someone who looks in a mirror.
And then immediately walks away and forgets what they look like.
That's such a perfect metaphor.
It really is. It perfectly encapsulates this daily self-deception that leaders can fall into. We look at the data, we get the feedback, but we immediately go back to the story we like better.
The curated public self.
Exactly. We start living to impress, not to express. And after a while, you start believing the performance is the real you.
And that's where perception becomes so dangerous. The sources bring up Tony Dungy's coaching principle.
Oh, this is great.
He knew that winning meant his players had to confront who they really were on the field.
Not their media personas, not their reputation or past stats.
All their limitations, their actual weaknesses in that moment, that's what they had to face.
Because that confrontation is where resilience is born.
Yeah.
If a team is operating based on who they wish they were,
Or who the press says they are.
right, that foundation is just so shallow. A crisis hits, a public failure, a loss, a budget cut, and that whole perception just shatters.
And you can't lead anyone through a storm if you're shocked that your own ship is so fragile.
The sources call this work brutal, honest self-examination.
Which makes sense, because if I haven't acknowledged my own fear of failure or, my own deep-seated need for approval, how can I possibly understand that in someone else?
You can't. You just can't. Without that internal audit, you end up seeing everyone through this fog of projection, assumption, and unconscious bias.
So give us an example of that.
Okay, well, let's say I'm deeply insecure about my own competence. A team member asks a simple clarifying question. My immediate unconscious reaction might be that they're challenging my authority, not that they're just trying to understand.
So you think you're responding to them.
But I'm actually just reacting to my own internal noise.
So empathy isn't just listening. It's being stable enough inside to even hear clearly in the first place. This has to connect to the leader's internal state.
It's everything. Empathy requires what the sources call a still mind.
A still mind.
Absolutely. If your internal world is chaos, just driven by anxiety, ego, running from your own truth, you are literally too busy to be present for anyone else.
So what does that mean, practically?
It means quieting that noise of ego and self-deception. Maybe it's structured time for reflection. Maybe it's letting go of the need for immediate control. You have to stop long enough to truly see yourself so you can stop projecting your own chaos onto the people you're supposed to be leading.
Okay, so if the hard work is facing that mirror, the temptation, of course, is to find a shortcut. And we know Robert Greene warns that the very desire to find shortcuts makes you eminently unsuited for any kind of mastery.
A powerful warning.
But I have to push back a little here. In a high-pressure world, don't leaders need some practical techniques just to manage all the interactions?
That's a really fair point. And techniques are tools. They have a place.
Right.
But the sources define mastery as character. If you learn the 3 active listening points, but deep down, you see the other person as an obstacle or a resource to be managed,
Then the technique is hollow.
it's worse than hollow. It's a tool of manipulation, not connection. It's just performance.
And this contrast between embodiment and performance, it's highlighted in maybe the most powerful story in all the material.
I think so.
The story of David Robinson mentoring Tim Duncan in the NBA.
It's just incredible because years later, Duncan is reflecting on Robinson's legacy as this amazing leader.
And he admits something stunning. He says he can't remember a single specific sit-down conversation they ever had about leadership.
Not one. And that's the whole lesson right there.
Yeah.
What Duncan remembered was who Robinson was.
The consummate professional. The ethical anchor.
A devoted father. A person of just, profound, consistent character. Robinson's empathy wasn't from a workshop. It was just an outgrowth of his substance. It was embodied.
Not performed.
Never performed.
It reminds me so much of the Stoic approach. Don't argue about what makes a good person, just be one.
That's it. If you're striving for personal integrity, your leadership style takes care of itself.
And this is where that Josh Waitzkin principle on quality over quantity fits in so well.
Yes. It's not about knowing more techniques. It's about training your character at world-class levels.
What does that mean, though, training character?
It means when you deliberately practice quality in your reactions, your honesty, your self-control, you internalize it. If you consistently show up as your best self when no one is watching, you can't fake your way to authentic empathy when the lights are on. The substance has to come before the strategy. Always.
So the path is preparation. It's not a shortcut. There's an African proverb, tomorrow belongs to people who prepare for it today.
It really emphasizes that empathy isn't some spontaneous, lucky thing.
Yeah.
It's cultivated. It takes deliberate practice.
And the sources are very clear that it's not easy. They describe this preparation as the hard climb of teaching.
As opposed to the pleasant diversion of cooking.
Which is such a great analogy. It's not just about enjoying a process. It's about rigorous self-discipline. It means facing failure.
That difficult climb is absolutely essential because leadership rooted in real empathy, it's forged in difficulty.
Right. Anyone can be a pleasant, supportive leader when everything's going well, when the team is winning.
But the storms, the unforeseen challenges, the internal conflicts, they don't just test us.
They reveal us.
They reveal who we really are. And the prepared leader is the one who has already learned to sail their ship in stormy weather.
And that's the critical part. They can guide others because they aren't panicked by their own internal turbulence.
Exactly. For a leader, this means doing the hard strategic and emotional work when things are calm. Building resilient systems, building emotional reserves. So when that crisis hits...
Your reaction is guided by principle, not by fear.
Precisely. And that preparation, it also means creating enough internal space to hear the quiet signals.
Being guided by intuition, listening to the whispers of the universe.
Which can sound a bit out there, but it really just means silencing that desperate need for control and certainty.
And when a leader can do that for themselves, they can help others do it too.
That's maybe the highest level of empathetic leadership, helping others hear their own quiet, internal wisdom.
All of this then culminates in this paradox of sacrifice. We always hear, sacrifice the me for the we.
Right, but people so often get that wrong. They think it means erasing yourself.
When it's the exact opposite.
It is. You have to build a self that is strong enough, secure enough, and substantial enough to genuinely serve. If you try to sacrifice a weak, insecure self.
That self is just going to fight back. It's going to demand recognition.
Always. Only a leader who is secure in their own identity can truly put the collective first without fearing personal loss. You have to build a self worth sacrificing.
So all this brutal internal work, it has to become tangible at some point. And that happens in communication.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
And it's how we fulfill Sinek's call to action to be the leaders we wish we had.
It all starts with having a common terminology, speaking the same language. And not just literally.
And conceptually.
Emotionally.
Right. If a team member says they need support, the empathetic leader doesn't just assume that means more money or more resources.
They get curious.
They get curious. They seek to understand what support means to that person in that moment.
And the most corrosive thing in any communication is ego. The sources identify this single most important shift.
And it's being more concerned with what's right.
Rather than who's right.
That is the ultimate test of self-mastery. When your goal is the shared truth, the mission, communication becomes collaborative. Not competitive. But that's fundamentally impossible if you haven't faced your own ego.
It is. If your identity is tied up in being the smartest person in the room, That need will unconsciously sabotage every single conversation. You'll be defensive, you'll be dominant, and you won't even know why.
So the leader who has done this work, they don't just perform these individual acts of empathy, they create an entire atmosphere.
Exactly. An environment that the sources describe as being respectful, kind, and fun.
And those three things are so important.
They're critical because they create vulnerability. Respect means you value their input. Kindness means they won't be punished for making a mistake.
And fun means the stakes are low enough for real learning, for risk-taking.
When people trust the atmosphere, they prioritize learning and improvement over just performance and appearance.
Which allows for that delicate balance, right? Where we can push one another.
Suggesting high standards, real challenge.
While also building each other up.
Suggesting unwavering support and encouragement.
I think empathy gets mistaken for softness so often.
All the time. But true kindness sometimes looks like a hard challenge. The leader who has mastered themselves has the courage to hold that bar high for others, precisely because they believe so deeply in that person's potential. Empathy isn't lowering the bar, it's supporting the climb.
And so we come full circle. Real empathy isn't a feeling. It's radical action. It's embodiment.
I'm reminded of that Hemingway quote. The best way to find out if you can trust someone is to trust them.
You live it. You don't perform it.
And that means you're consistently choosing to work for a cause, not for applause. If you live your life to express your core values, your leadership is consistent.
But if you live to impress,
You're just a weather vane.
Yeah.
Constantly changing direction based on who's watching.
the ultimate test of this whole inward journey, it's so simple and elegant. Don't strive to make your presence known.
Just strive to make your absence felt.
That's powerful. Did people miss the loss of genuine care? Of authentic presence and consistent character?
Or did they just notice that the charismatic performance was over? The sources bring us right back to Tim Duncan. He maximized what they call minimalism.
Stripping away everything that wasn't essential.
Everything in his life and his game that wasn't core to his purpose. So the question becomes, who are you when no one is watching? When you strip away the titles, the performance, the fear, that self, that essence, that is the only person who can truly lead.
So the paradox is resolved. Empathy is the ability to connect with others.
But that connection is only fully achieved by removing the fog and the noise inside yourself. The ego, the anxiety, the self-deception that obscures your own genuine essence.
And that integration of internal integrity and external influence.
Yeah.
That's the hallmark of leadership that lasts.
The sources tell us that maximizing minimalism is about removing everything that obscures your essence, so you can connect with the essence of others. So for you, the listener, what is one non-essential performance, one ego investment, or one internal fear, one piece of that internal noise that you need to strip away today to be truly present and empathetic tomorrow? That's the challenge the Mirror presents.